Thank you for joining us today for the Crew Transfer and Access Solutions in LNG webinar. I hope you enjoyed the introductory videos featuring some of our products. Today's webinar is scheduled to last about 1 hour, including the Q&A session at the end. All attendees are automatically muted to allow the speaker to present without interruption. We welcome your questions. You can submit any questions via the chat box on the right-hand side at any time during the webinar. My name is Kalina. I am the media manager at Reflex Marine, and I will be moderating this session and noting any questions you have throughout. Our speaker for today's webinar is Ms. Sandra Antonovic, Reflex Marine's Chief Operating Officer. Sandra is responsible for global commercial development and strategic business positioning at Reflex Marine, leading the opening of new markets. Sandra's operational expertise focuses on business transition, diversification, and strategic growth. So let me now invite Sandra to take over and talk to you about safe crew transfer and access solutions in various LNG operations.
Thank you, Victoria. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Victoria said, I'll give you our perspective on crew transfer and access solutions in LNG industry. This is the second of LNG themed webinars that we are having. We had the first one last year. The recording of that session is available on our YouTube channel, and Victoria will share the link to that webinar in the chat box, I think. And so if you missed that one and you want to catch up, there we go. The link is available now. Okay, so let's get started. This is one of our products. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Reflex Marine, we specialize in offshore access solutions. For almost 25 years, we were specializing in solutions that had to do with crew transfer. And recently, in the last 5 to 6 years, we started focusing on cargo as well. So we now offer some solutions for cargo access offshore. We have been working and we are supporting all major companies and their subcontractors across different industries in that are operating offshore. So from traditional oil, gas, LNG, merchant shipping, offshore wind. We also support ports, terminals, defense industry, Coast Guard, and so on. So basically anyone who has the need to transfer people while operating offshore. This product that you can see on the photograph is our Frog XT4. This is aboard one of Shell's installations, and it's a 4-passenger unit. It's very suitable for operating in any kind of weather conditions. You can see the buoyancy panels, the yellow buoyancy panels, which help the unit to float and self-right when it's immersed in the water, but they also help against side impact if the unit is accidentally slammed against anything during transfer. You were able to see some of the testing process on the video before the webinar started. And so you were able to see the real protection that the buoyancy offers. Inside the buoyancy, you can see the stainless steel frame that also protects against side impact. Underneath the buoyancy, you can see dark blue shock absorbing feet together with the damper system inside the unit. They offer protection against vertical impact, which usually happens during landing. So the landing is softened, and the sensation that the passenger would get would be similar to the one when you are in an airplane and it lands. So you feel the impact, but you are completely protected. Finally, we have seats that are arranged in a way that the passenger is again protected by the buoyancy panels. The passenger is seated comfortably in an ergonomic seat that protects the spine and is strapped with the straps and the buckle, similar again to an airplane, which protects them from falling. So let's move on. So how are we supporting LNG offshore industry? Again, just a snapshot of our activity for those of you who might not be as familiar with our work as others. Reflex Marine has been supporting offshore market for over 30 years. And one of the parts is, of course, LNG industry. We are an active part and have been an active part in different projects. We have worked on all major LNG projects across the world. Some of them are Sakhalin-2, Rasgas trains in Qatar, Yamal LNG compound in Russia, Qatargas, Java and Sarawak in Indonesia and Malaysia, and many others. So I didn't want to go into too much detail here. We do share quite a lot of project work and details on which projects we are working across the world, both on our offshore technology page and on our social media. So on our LinkedIn page, if you follow us, you would be able to learn quite a lot from the projects where we work. We provide 24/7 operational and servicing support. And of course, we are dedicated to continuously improve safety, flexibility, and cost effectiveness for offshore crew transfer. I'll be talking more about safety, flexibility, and cost effectiveness in just a second. Moving on, so here we started with the unit on one of Shell's installations. Again, here we are on one of Shell's vessels. So this is Prelude FLNG. Here we are having a situation of ship-to-ship transfer. So basically we have an LNG tanker moored next to or lined next to the FLNG. Again, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with the term or might be using a different term, the LNG ship-to-ship, also referred to LNG STS, is when LNG is being transferred from a feeder LNG vessel via an LNG tanker. So this is the situation that we have here. Of course, during this process, we do have the need to transfer crew for whatever reason. And in those circumstances, companies would, and in this case Shell, would mostly use our crew transfer equipment because it offers them extreme flexibility. It is very easy to use. It requires very little of or no training, and it is extremely flexible in a sense that it can fit almost any type of vessel. So the footprint and the size of the equipment is very fitting for any size of the vessel. So it fits equally large FSRUs or FLNGs and smaller supply vessels, which I will show in a second. Here we have bunkering situation. So we have bunkering barge next to Prelude FLNG. With the bunkering, so while it's a similar process to ship-to-ship transfer, bunkering is a practice of providing LNG to a ship for its own consumption. So here we have the bunkering barge providing LNG to Prelude FLNG for its own consumption. While the bunkering used to be done only in ports and still is mainly being done in ports, due to technology advancements and the growing need to perform bunkering out on the sea, many companies are doing bunkering out on the sea outside of ports these days. For bunkering process, most companies, including Shell here, are using Wave for crew transfer device to transfer people during bunkering if they need to do that. I will talk about Wave in just a second and explain a little bit more about that unit. Here again we have ship-to-ship transfer situation. So similar to the photograph I showed just a minute ago, but we also have offshore supply vessels. So you can see 3 offshore supply vessels on each side of the LNG tanker and Prelude FLNG. The Wave unit would be suitable for all these 3 types of vessels. So it would fit comfortably, of course, on FLNG. It would fit comfortably on the LNG tanker, and it would fit also on the supply vessel. So the size and the storage requirement is very fitting to any type of vessel that the operation might have. To summarize our work with Shell, so Shell has over almost 40 our units in their fleet. We have been working with them for 20 years now. So during that time, they accumulated quite a large fleet of our units. They equally use Frog XT6, Frog XT4, and Wave 4. I mentioned Wave a couple of times already. You have seen Frog XT4 on the first image that I've shown. We supported them on over 18 projects across the world. Some of those projects are quite long-term and have been going on for over a decade now. Shell also has the largest crew trained by Reflex Marine. So we trained over 80 crew members of Shell in Southeast Asia. This training took place a couple of years ago, and it was operational best practice training. Victoria will share with you the link to more information on training that we provide for our clients and partners. I won't go into much detail now because she will provide the link where you can find all the information after the webinar. So moving on, what does the LNG industry and what do LNG companies need? They need safety, simplicity, flexibility, timeliness. They need support, and finally, but not least important, they need cost effectiveness. And how are we supporting them? So we support them through safety. We offer the safest crew transfer option. We have currently over 10 years without lost time incident. Simplicity, we offer ease of use and ownership. All units that we provide are very easy to use. They don't require any particular commissioning. They're very easy to maintain as well. And the lifespan for each unit is quite long. So it can go over 10 years. So it's very convenient in that sense. Flexibility, again, ease of commissioning and applicability. I have just walked you through 3 photographs with Shell's operation where you could see different applicability of our units, providing extreme flexibility to the client to do crew transfer in any scenario whenever they need, and in a very quick way. Timeliness, the unit can be deployed in minutes. It comes fully assembled. It is stored fully assembled. It doesn't need any particular pre-assembly before it is used. The crew transfer process itself takes minutes, so it's extremely convenient way of transferring people for scheduled transfers, but also when transfers might not be scheduled and need to be performed out of schedule. Support, we offer training. I mentioned that Shell underwent one of the trainings that we offer, and Victoria shared the link to our website where you can find more information on training. We offer 24/7 operational support. What does that mean? It means basically that if you have any questions regarding your operation, if you are uncertain what to do in a particular scenario, or if you need any help in risk assessment, you can email us, and then our operations team has a conversation with you and advises what is the best course of action. We also provide replacement parts for all our units, and we provide servicing. Servicing can be done onshore or offshore, and we have an extensive network of service centers all around the world where, of course, you can get your unit serviced. So it's extremely convenient wherever you are. You can be sure that you will have this level of support. Finally, cost effectiveness. So our equipment is the most cost-effective option available at the moment worldwide when you look at all the other crew transfer options. Victoria will now play two videos. I unfortunately skipped one video at the beginning, but she will play now both videos for you, where you can learn some more about the XT range. So I mentioned Frog XT and Frog XT4, but also you will learn about some of the support that we offer. Okay, great. Thank you, Victoria, for playing those two videos.
marine-based transfer in general is actually a really safe way of transferring crew. A lot of studies that Reflex have done with Marine Transfer Forum, when we've sort of gathered incident data, compared it to other types of transfer. You know, people are seeing it's a safe way of transferring crew and it's a good alternative.
Frogs in general have been taken out all over the world, so anywhere where there's oil and gas activity, frogs have been bought and sold. For example, west coast of Africa, they're very popular. The Middle East, Southeast Asia is very popular for frogs. Even in the North Sea, there's frogs on most platforms.
With the frogs having medevac capabilities and increasing awareness around having a backup way of transferring crew if there was high fog or a helicopter grounding, more and more operators are seeing the need for having something like this in place. There's a whole load of improvements like design and engineering changes that we've made from our previous range. It's got a wider, higher operational capability, so it can operate in higher sea states. It's standardised parts as well throughout the whole range, so it's easier to inspect and maintain. We've also reduced the footprint, so it takes up less space on the rig. You can fit it inside a standard sea container now, making it easier to transport and store.
I think the aim is to continue developing the product, so any small problems we have or any future improvements we'll try to bring to the range, so that it helps to bring the new benefits to our customers, just to make the whole process of crew transfer easier and safer. That's the main reason for developing the frogs and continuing to improve them, is just to improve general safety levels in the industry.
Let's move on. Here we have Petronas. So I talked about Shell for a while, and I explained how we are supporting Shell. Here we have Petronas, again, one of the companies with whom we collaborated for over 20 years now. Here we have FLNG vessel. So Petronas uses 2 FLNG vessels, and on them they have a total of 5 of our units. Petronas chooses Frog XT6 for their operations. They do have our units on other installations, so they have quite a large fleet themselves. But for the purpose of this presentation and this webinar, I chose just the FLNG to show. So here we have again the same FLNG installation with crew transfer taking place. This is an offshore supply vessel, and Frog is being landed on the supply vessel. So you can see here the size of the unit in comparison to the deck of the supply vessel, and also in comparison to the FLNG vessel itself. Here the Frog landed, and you can see people disembarking. So crew members, Petronas crew members disembarks the Frog. You can see that the Frog is completely stable. Disembarking is quite easy and very comfortable. You can see also on the left-hand side, the gentleman is taking his luggage bag. So there is a luggage storage space as well on the Frog. Very safe operation, extremely quick to do, and comfortable for people being transferred. Petronas, as I said, chooses Frog XT6. Frog XT6 is identical in the footprint and the outer shell as the Frog XT4 that you saw at the beginning of the webinar. The only difference is the configuration of seats. So the seats are arranged in a different way compared to Frog XT4 to fit 2 more passengers. Petronas uses as well Frog XT4 and Wave. So they have quite a lot of units themselves, similar to Shell, and we have supported and keep supporting over 10 of their projects across the world. And we are very happy to be working with Petronas and their subcontractors, particularly in Southeast Asia, but also in other parts of the world. TK, so Japanese TK, we work quite a lot with Japanese company. We work with Modec, TK, Mitsui, or Japanese MOL. TK prefers Frog XT4, so the unit that I showed at the beginning of the webinar. They use it for their LNG operations in extreme weather conditions. So with low temperatures, snow, sometimes during harsh sea states, both Frog XT4 and Frog XT6 are extremely suitable for difficult weather conditions and challenging temperatures. Frog XT4 comes also in Arctic version to provide even more assurance that the operation can take place even during temperatures that can go down to minus 40 degrees Celsius. TK has XT4, Frog XT4 on 9 vessels. We have been working with them for 15 years now, and they're one of our clients that uses the equipment in demanding situations. We quite like that because it also creates an incentive for us to keep working on our products and keep improving the capabilities and the operational envelope. Currently, one of the most important projects on which we are working with TK is, of course, Yamal. So some of TK's LNG tankers are being used there, and they have Frog XT. One of them has Wave on board as well. So here we can see TK's vessel width. You can see behind the pipes, you can see Wave for the yellow, small yellow part of the equipment being stored. So this is, of course, ship-to-ship transfer operation taking place, and TK uses Wave for transferring people during ship-to-ship transfer operation. You can see behind there's some snow, so the temperatures can get quite low in this part of the world, but both Wave and XT4 are performing very good in those circumstances. Here I made a mistake. It shouldn't be Petronas, should be MOL, but there is a logo, so please forgive me for this typo. So we are also working with MOL, as I mentioned. MOL also uses Frog XT6. They use Wave as well. Recently, they have bought quite a large fleet, so MOL currently has the largest Wave 4 fleet in the world from all LNG companies, and they use it in all their operations across the world. We have been working with MOL for quite a long time. We are supporting their operations both in Southeast Asia and in Europe. And with MOL, we have trained quite a large number of their crew as well. So they had the operational best practice training, similar to Shell. They also had inspection and maintenance training. So MOL, in some scenarios, are able to service their own units. Again, Victoria shared earlier the link to to our website, where you can find more information on what kind of training we offer and how to get trained. All LNG companies that we have been supporting are following 10 golden rules for crane transfer operations. You can download this on our website. It's a free resource. It's extremely useful. It lists 10 basic rules of safety that should be considered and performed before each transfer takes place. So it's extremely useful piece of information to have on board. Finally, we come to LNG value chain. So we have a gas field, gas processing facilities, LNG liquefaction plant, LNG tank, loading terminal. Then we have transportation by sea, receiving terminal, and then regasification. We support with our access solutions, we support natural gas production. So the first dark blue box, we support the LNG process, so processing and liquefaction, or in other words, LNG train. We also support the shipping process, and we can support the regasification process when this is done by FSRUs. We don't support that process when it's done on the ground, but if it's done via FSRU, then yes, we support that part of the process as well. So basically, we with the equipment that we provide, we can support easily most parts of the process of LNG value chain. We have a lot of experience in all of these processes, and we can offer support beyond the equipment itself. So we can help with risk assessment, we can help with providing information on how other companies are using our products in similar scenarios. We can provide best practices and other types of expertise that we offer as operational support. We can also provide modified or customized units. We have done this with our Wave unit. We had a situation where the client needed it customized for a specific type of operation, so we were able to do that for them. So quite extensive support. I mentioned bunkering at the beginning when we were looking at Shell's photographs, and one of them showed the bunkering process. Again, the bunkering normally takes place in ports. On this map, we can see green marked are the existing ports. Then we have planned ports and proposed ones in black. This map is not the newest one. Currently, Singapore is the largest bunkering port and offers the largest bunkering options. But bunkering is becoming, from being quite low key and not very specialized activity 30 years ago, with the development of LNG, bunkering is becoming quite an important piece of the puzzle and requires quite a lot of skill. It can be extremely dangerous process if it's not done correctly, and requires extreme focus on safety, which again is where we come in, particularly when it comes to safe crew transfer during bunkering operations being performed, regardless whether that operation is in port or whether it is done out on the sea. Here you can see Wave. I mentioned it quite a lot. Here is quite a good picture of Wave. Again, similar to Frog XT4 and all our products, it has buoyancy that's protecting you from side impact. It also enables the unit to float and self-right if immersed in water for whatever reason. It has an ergonomic position for the passengers, and the passengers are protected from both the lateral and vertical impact. You can see the shock absorbing feet underneath the buoyancy in dark blue there. It also has the space for basic luggage. You can see in the middle the red basket where passengers can put their bags. It can easily be converted to a medevac mode. On the video that Victoria showed us, you were able to see the conversion of one of Frog XT units to medevac mode, and you could see how easy it is to install a stretcher with the casualty. For Wave, it's a similar process. You would slide the stretcher across the luggage basket and lock the stretcher in place, and that would be secured. In case of scenario where the unit would end up in water with the casualty inside the unit, the water level would be underneath the stretcher, so the injured person would be completely protected until they can be taken to safety. I have mentioned that we had a situation where one of the clients asked us to modify this type of unit for them, and we were able to do that. So while Wave, as it's shown in the picture here, is an off-the-shelf product, it can be, we can do project work if a client has a particular requirement in terms of weight of the unit because they use a particular type of crane, or if they need to use the unit in extreme scenario and then the temperature goes beyond -40, we can do those modifications. In LNG industry in particular, some clients opt for rental option rather than to purchase the unit. Usually those are LNG companies. So some of them are renting short term, depending on the project that they're working on. Some of them are renting long term. When I say long term, it's usually a period of over a year. The rental packages include full servicing, so it's very hassle-free and extremely convenient because they can just, when the project is finished or in case the project gets cancelled, they can just bring the unit back. And if the project takes longer than they anticipated, they can extend the rental without any hassle. So it's extremely convenient way of working, and more companies in the LNG industry particular are choosing this option. In any case, whether it's purchase or rental, extremely short lead times. We usually hold these units on stock, so normally the lead time would be the time that is needed to pack the unit and do all the paperwork. We offer global support, as I mentioned before. So we have an extensive network of support centers all around the world. You can get it serviced regardless of where you are. And that's it from me for today. Here again, we have, this is an Accelerate energy vessel. You can see Wave unit sitting on a deck. And you can see the size of it compared to the this quite impressive size of the vessel. Accelerate as well is one of the companies that choose Wave. They have second largest fleet in the world after MOL, and they are quite happy with how the unit performs. They use it in Europe, in South Asia, like Bangladesh. They are using Wave on a project in Bangladesh and in other parts of the world. So again, one of the companies that prefers Wave to any other option. We have quite a lot of materials on our YouTube channel. Victoria shared one of the links, so you will be able to access our YouTube channel. All the materials are, of course, free of charge, and quite a lot of videos for different types of units and different types of industries. And we share quite a lot of materials like user manuals and other guidance on our LinkedIn. Or if it's easier for you, just send us an email at info@reflexmarine.com and we'll provide any information that you might need. If we have any questions, Victoria, I'm happy to answer them now.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Thank you for the presentation. We do have some questions. So the first question we have is, what types of units are used in Sakhalin and Yamal, and why?
So in Yamal, they use mostly Wave 4 and Frog XT4. Wave 4 mainly are used by LNG tanker companies, and they prefer it because the unit has very small footprint from the rigid crew transfer baskets in the world. It has the smallest footprint. It's extremely easy to store, and it can fit any type of vessel. So it performs equally well on large LNG carrier. It performs well on LNG tanker, on offshore supply vessel, on FLNG. So it's extremely versatile type of unit. It is also used in Norway, so on the north part of Norway, during bunkering and ship-to-ship transfer operations. So that is quite close to Yamal. So Wave is their unit of choice. In what was the other part? As for Sakhalin, in Sakhalin, they're using a 6-passenger unit, so they use Frog XT6. Sakhalin has one of the largest 6-passenger units fleet in the world. They have been using them for almost 20 years now, both on Sakhalin 1 and Sakhalin 2. They have used Frog 6, which is the old range, and now they're using Frog XT6. The main reason why they choose XT6 and not Wave or Frog XT4 is the size of the crew that they need to transfer every day. So they opted for a higher capacity unit in their case.
Thank you. The second question is about Africa and specifically about how we support operations in Mozambique.
Mozambique is, of course, a hot topic of conversation in the past months and years. We have been in conversation with Mozambique LNG and their Coral South project for quite a long time now. Currently, we are supporting Technip Energies, who are working with some of the operators in that area.
And the last question is again on what type of support we offer and which projects we support in Australia this time.
In Australia, we have worked with, and we are still working with Woodside Energy. We support, of course, all their subcontractors as well. We work quite a lot with DOF Subsea. The unit of choice in that part of the world is, again, Wave. Because of its very small footprint and versatility, it can be very easily used for any type of vessel. And in Australia, both Woodside and their subcontractors are usually doing medium-term or long-term rentals rather than purchasing. So they opt to rent the unit for several months or for a year instead of buying, because they have different requirements at different times in the year. They don't need the unit throughout the entire year, perhaps, on some of the projects. And they want to have the flexibility of being able to return the unit when they don't need it. We then service the unit, keep it in storage, and it's ready for the next rental. So in that sense, compared to Sakhalin, where Exxon Naftagaz is purchasing the units, Woodside Energy opts for rentals most of the time.
More question now. Do you support any Guyana oil and gas operations, for example, client Exxon? Okay, thank you very much. That's all the questions we had.
Support Guyana operations. We do work with Exxon and SBM Offshore there, so I don't have right now the list of units that they have. Exxon traditionally goes for either Frog XT4 or Frog XT6. SBM Offshore as well uses mostly Frog XT6 units. Again, they have exactly the same footprint and frame as Frog XT4. The only difference is the arrangement of the seats to fit 2 more people compared to Frog XT4.
Today. So thank you again, Sandra, for the insightful presentation. And just again, if anyone has any more questions for Sandra or for anyone on the Reflex Marine team, please do feel free to email us at info@reflexmarine.com. And we hope to see you again at our next webinar next month.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.